What if I told you a single penny, one that most Americans have already spent, ignored, or tossed into a jar, could quietly hold the power to change a life? What if I told you that in 2009, while the world was distracted by recession, fear, and uncertainty, a small copper coin slipped through millions of hands, hiding a value almost no one noticed? And what if that coin might be sitting in your home right now? Because today, we're talking about the 2009 log cabin Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A coin most people believe is common, and that belief alone has cost collectors small fortunes. And here's the part that makes people stop breathing. Some of these coins were spent on coffee. Some were left in parking lots. Some were given as change at gas stations, and a few went on to become five-figure and even life-altering discoveries. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is the exact reason serious collectors say, never ignore a modern penny. In 2009, the U.S. Mint released something special to honor Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. They redesigned the penny, not once, but 4 times. One of those designs showed a simple, humble structure, a log cabin. Lincoln's birthplace, a symbol of beginnings, struggle, and potential. Billions were minted, millions were spent, and almost everyone assumed they were worthless. But here's where the story twists. A retired electrician in Ohio once told a local coin dealer that he'd kept rolls of 2009 pennies because they looked different. No planned and no insider knowledge, just a feeling. Years later, when he finally had them examined, one coin stood out, razor-sharp detail, blazing original color, and something most people miss completely: no mint mark, which means it was struck in Philadelphia. Now here's the mistake collectors make. They assume no mint mark means nothing special. But that assumption has destroyed more hidden value than almost any other belief in modern coin collecting. Because condition changes everything. A circulated 2009 log cabin penny might be worth 1 cent, but a high-grade example, untouched by fingers, friction, or time, that's where the numbers start to climb. And this is what blows everyone away. Some of the finest known examples, coins graded at the very top of the scale, have sold for staggering amounts simply because so few survived in perfect condition. Most were dumped into circulation immediately. Most were scratched, spotted, or dulled. Most were never protected, so when a flawless one appears, collectors fight for it. And then there are the errors. This is where the story gets dangerous. Because errors are invisible to untrained eyes. A double design you don't notice. An off-center strike you assume is damage. A wrong metal planchet you think is fake. Collectors have thrown these into jars. Children have spent them on candy. One man reportedly found an unusual 2009 log cabin penny in his late father's belongings. Almost discarded it, and only paused because something felt off. That pause changed everything. The coin turned out to be a legitimate mint error, rare, authenticated, and suddenly worth more than months of income. And here's the cliffhanger moment. Most people never even check. They see a penny and move on. But the market doesn't reward ignorance. It rewards attention. It rewards patience. And it rewards the few who understand that rarity isn't just about how many were made, it's about how many survived perfectly. So let me ask you something directly. How many pennies have passed through your hands without a second thought? How many opportunities were dismissed because someone said, it's just a penny? Because here's the truth collectors don't always say out loud. Modern coins are being rediscovered right now as demand rises. As high-grade examples disappear into private collections. As errors are locked away, the window quietly closes. And the people who benefit are the ones who acted before the crowd caught on. The 2009 log cabin Lincoln penny with no mint mark isn't magic. It's something far more powerful. It's overlooked. And overlooked assets have a habit of shocking the world when attention finally turns their way. But here's the warning: condition matters. Authenticity matters. Knowledge matters. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Spending a rare error ends the story forever. And opportunities like this don't announce themselves with sirens. They sit quietly, in jars, drawers, old collections, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. So tonight, or tomorrow, or the next time you see loose change, look again. Because history doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers from a penny. And if you want to know what else people are missing, what other ordinary coins are hiding extraordinary value, stay curious, keep learning, and remember, the smallest discoveries often carry the biggest consequences. Opportunities like this don't last forever. We're talking about the 2009 Lincoln presidency penny with no mint mark. A coin so misunderstood, so overlooked, that collectors are still discovering its hidden power years later. And here's the part that should stop you cold. Some of the most valuable examples were once tossed into change jars, or slid across a gas station counter. because the owner had no idea what they were holding. Don't let that be you. Because in the next few minutes, you might realize that your spare change could hold a life-changing mistake or a life-changing opportunity. Let's rewind to 2009. America was hurting. Jobs were uncertain. Retirement accounts were shrinking. Families were searching for security. And quietly, the U.S. Mint released something special to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For different Lincoln pennies were issued that year, each showing a different chapter of his life. The fourth design, the presidency reverse, featured Lincoln seated proudly, deep in thought, during his years as president. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But this is where the story changes. Most people never noticed the missing mint mark. No S. Just nothing. That means it was struck in Philadelphia, and while millions were made, very few survived in high condition. Because these pennies weren't treated like collectibles. They were spent, scratched, dropped, forgotten. Collectors often overlook this. Rarity isn't always about how many were made. It's about how many survived in pristine condition. And here's where it gets crazy. In 2018, a retired schoolteacher in Ohio was rolling coins for the bank. Just another quiet afternoon. Just another jar of pennies, but one coin stopped her cold. The design looked sharper. The surfaces looked cleaner. The color felt different. She didn't know why, but something told her not to spend it. That instinct changed everything. After grading, that 2009 Lincoln presidency penny, no mint mark, came back mint state, nearly flawless. Its auction price? Enough to pay off a car and fund a year of retirement living. And that wasn't even an error coin. Now pause for a second. How many pennies have passed through your hands since 2009? Thousands? Tens of thousands? And how many did you actually look at? Here's the mistake most people make. They assume all modern pennies are worthless. That assumption has already cost people serious money. Because some 2009 presidency pennies contain subtle but valuable errors that we're talking about. Double dies, die cracks, off-center strikes, weak or partial details, unusual surface finishes, striking pressure anomalies, errors so small that only a trained eye or a lucky moment reveals them, and collectors pay handsomely for them. But condition is everything. A circulated 2009 presidency penny, worth face value. But a high-grade, uncirculated example, that's where the real money lies. And this is the part that blows everyone away. Professional grading has revealed that top-tier examples are shockingly scarce. Most were damaged before anyone realized they mattered. Which means the few that survived untouched are now locked in private collections or fighting for record prices at auction. And yet, some are still out there, still hiding, still waiting, still being ignored in jars, drawers, and old envelopes. Now let's talk about why this matters to you. Not someday. Not in theory. Right now. Because wealth doesn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's copper-colored, small, quiet, dismissed. The 2009 Lincoln presidency penny with no mint mark represents something bigger than a coin. It represents missed opportunities and second chances. People don't lose money because they lack opportunity. They lose money because they fail to recognize it. And here's the warning most collectors wish they'd heard sooner. Don't clean your coins. Don't polish them. Don't assume damage is fixable. Cleaning can destroy thousands of dollars in value instantly if you find one. Look at the details. Examine the edges. Check the surfaces. Compare sharpness and color, and if something feels different, trust that instinct. Because the market is changing. As more collectors wake up, as more examples disappear into permanent collections, prices don't drift upward, they jump. Opportunities like this don't announce themselves. They don't knock. They don't wait. They pass quietly through your hands. Unless you're paying attention. So tonight or tomorrow, open that jar. Check that old box. Look through the change you've ignored for years. Because the next life-changing discovery doesn't always look like treasure at first. Sometimes, it looks like a penny. And the people who recognize it, they're the ones who turn spare change into security, freedom, and peace of mind. Stay curious, stay aware. And remember, the smallest coins often carry the biggest secrets. And you don't want to be the person who spent one before realizing what it was worth. And what if I told you millions of Americans already owned this coin and spent it without ever realizing what they had? Because in 2009, something happened to the Lincoln penny that most people still don't understand today. And if you miss this, you might miss one of the most overlooked opportunities hiding in plain sight. Stay with me, because this story has changed lives. In 2009, America was hurting. Banks were collapsing. Retirement accounts were bleeding. Families were scared. And while most people were focused on survival, the U.S. Mint did something historic, almost quietly. They released 4 special Lincoln pennies to honor Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. 4 designs. For moments from Lincoln's life. And here's the detail most people missed. Millions of these coins were struck in Philadelphia. Meaning they carry no mint mark at all and a D. No S. Just silence. And that silence is where the story begins. Because while most people assume no mint mark means nothing special, collectors know better. And this is where it gets crazy. A man in Ohio once told a story about cleaning out his late father's garage. Coffee cans, old tools, rusty nails, and one small jar of pennies. He almost threw it away. Almost. But something stopped him. Call it instinct. Call it curiosity. He dumped the jar onto the table and noticed several 2009 pennies with unfamiliar designs. Not Lincoln's face on the back, but a log cabin, a young boy reading, a determined figure splitting rails. At first, he laughed. Just pennies, he thought. But then he did one thing most people never do. He looked closer. What most people don't know is that condition is everything. A 2009 Lincoln penny that's been circulated, scratched, worn, and tossed around. Worth a cent. Maybe 2. But a high-grade, uncirculated example, especially with sharp details, blazing red color, and no damage. That's a completely different world. Collectors pay premiums for perfection. And the 2009 pennies, especially no mint mark examples from Philadelphia, are notoriously difficult to find in top condition. Why? Because 2009 was chaos, production issues, economic pressure. Quality control wasn't perfect, and that's where the real value hides. Here's where collectors make their biggest mistake. They assume all 2009 pennies are the same. They're not. Some were struck with weak details. Some have doubled lettering. Some show die cracks, off-center strikes, or unusual surfaces, and a small number, a very small number, were struck so clean, so sharp, so flawless, that grading services ranked them among the finest known. And when one of those appears at auction, the room goes quiet, bidding accelerates, and suddenly, a penny becomes a 4-figure, sometimes even 5-figure event. All because someone noticed what others ignored. And here's the shocking part. Many people unknowingly destroy the value. They clean the coin. They rub it with a cloth. They toss it back into circulation. One tiny scratch, one wiped surface, and thousands of dollars vanish, just like that. Collectors will pay enormous premiums for untouched originality. Once it's gone forever. Imagine. This. You're holding a 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. It looks bright, sharp, almost untouched, but you assume it's common. You spend it on coffee, and years later, you learn that the same coin, in the same condition, graded professionally, sold for enough money to wipe out credit card debt, or fund a child's college account, or give a family breathing room. That's not fantasy, that's reality. And it happens more than anyone wants to admit. Here's what truly blows people away. The value gap. A circulated 2009 penny might be worth 1 cent, but a top-grade, error-free, blazing red example, hundreds, thousands, sometimes more. Same year, same design, same worthless coin. The difference? Knowledge and timing. Collectors know something most people don't. The greatest opportunities don't look exciting at first. They look ordinary. They hide in pockets, jars, drawers, and forgotten boxes. And the 2009 bicentennial Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of the last modern coins still being underestimated by the public. But that window is closing. As more people learn, as more coins get pulled from circulation, as collectors lock them away, the supply shrinks, demand doesn't, and that's how life-changing value is born. So here's the question. What's sitting in your home right now? A jar on a shelf? A box from a parent or grandparent? Loose change you've never really looked at? Because opportunity doesn't knock loudly. Sometimes, it jingles, quietly. 1 cent at a time. Take the time. Look closely. Respect what you find. And remember this, fortunes aren't always discovered in banks or boardrooms. Sometimes, they're discovered in a penny you almost threw away. And if this surprised you, you'll want to see what other coins Americans are spending every single day without realizing what they're worth. Because opportunities like this don't wait. And they don't last forever. And here's the scary part. Millions of people have already spent it, and they'll never get that chance back. Because this isn't just any penny. This is the 2009 professional Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and depending on one small detail, It could change everything. Stay with me, because what most collectors get wrong about this coin is the exact reason fortunes are lost every single year. In 2009, America was hurting. Jobs vanished. Retirement accounts collapsed. Families were forced to start over. But inside U.S. Mint facilities, history was being struck into copper and zinc. That year marked the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln Cent itself, so the Mint did something special. 4 different reverse designs were released, each one telling a chapter of Lincoln's life. And for Philadelphia coins, there was no mint mark, no letter, no clue, no warning. Just a plain, innocent-looking penny, and that's where the story gets dangerous. Because while billions of 2009 pennies were made, not all 2009 pennies are equal. Not even close. There's a story collectors still talk about quietly. A retired factory worker in Ohio, let's call him David, was rolling pennies for the bank. Same routine he'd done for years. But one coin felt different, smoother, sharper. Almost too perfect. He nearly spent it. But something stopped him. And that moment, that pause, changed his financial future. Here's what David noticed, and what most people missed. In 2009, the U.S. Mint produced special satin-finished Lincoln Cents for collector mint sets. These were not supposed to circulate. They were struck with higher pressure, better planchets, sharper details, professional quality, but some escaped, and when they did, they blended in perfectly. Same date, same design, same no mint mark, until you look closer. And this is where it gets crazy. Most people assume no mint mark means common. Wrong. For normal circulation coins, yes, but for satin finish, professional strikes with no mint mark, that's where scarcity begins. And if that coin has zero wear, razor-sharp lettering, full original luster, suddenly, you're not holding pocket change. You're holding a coin that collectors fight over. But wait, because that's not even the shocking part. The mistakes that destroy value. Collectors make the same heartbreaking mistakes over and over again. Mistake number 1. They clean the coin. 1 wipe, 1 polish, 1 quick shine. And just like that, thousands of dollars vanish. Mistake number 2. They ignore condition. A circulated 2009 penny, worth face value. But a professionally struck satin finish example graded MS 68 or higher, that's a completely different universe. Mistake number 3. They never get it authenticated. They assume, they guess, they delay, and the market moves on without them. High-grade 2009 no mint mark satin pennies, the kind never meant for circulation, have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases, 5 figures. And error examples: off-center strikes, wrong planchets, double dies, weak strikes combined with satin finish. Those are the coins that make auction rooms go silent. Those are the coins that change hands quietly, because when condition, rarity, and demand collide, prices stop making sense. Think about this for a moment. A single penny, worth more than a month's salary, more than a year of groceries, more than a family vacation, all because someone noticed what others ignored. And yet, millions of Americans still believe all pennies are worthless. That's why they miss opportunities. That's why they stay stuck. And that's why those who know win. Here's the truth most people never hear. The 2009 professional Lincoln penny with no mint mark is not rare because of how many were made. It's rare because of how many were recognized. Because once collectors understood what to look for, the supply disappeared, and every year, fewer high-grade examples remained. They're lost, damaged, spent, gone forever. Right now, somewhere in America, that penny is sitting in a drawer at a jar, old coffee can, unnoticed, unprotected, waiting. Imagine what finding one could mean: a paid-off bill, a safety net, peace of mind. A story your family will tell for years, all from a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up. But here's the warning: opportunities like this don't announce themselves. They pass quietly, while people are distracted. And the ones who act first are the ones who benefit. So tonight, check your change. Check old rolls. Check inherited collections. Look for that 2009 date. Look for that no mint mark. Look for sharp detail, unusual surfaces, something that feels different. Because sometimes financial freedom doesn't come from working harder. Sometimes it comes from paying closer attention. And if you think this coin was shocking, wait until you see what other everyday coins are hiding in plain sight. Because the story is just beginning.
You might think every modern penny in your pocket is just a broken bar spare change. But what if I told you that the 2026 Lincoln penny, specifically those with no mint mark, has quietly captured the attention of collectors, and some verified examples have sold for prices that would surprise even experienced coin enthusiasts? Now, we're not talking about every coin. This isn't about quick flips or guarantees, but for those who know what to look for, it's a fascinating story of hidden financial potential that could transform the way you view your everyday pennies. Stick with me, because the details collectors quietly watch could completely change how you see a simple 2026 penny. The 2026 Lincoln penny continues the long tradition of America's 1-cent coin. Struck in Philadelphia, the no mint mark variety is easy to overlook, but that's exactly why some collectors are paying attention. This is where many people get confused. Even though it looks like every other modern penny, small differences in strike, finish, and preservation can dramatically affect interest. Understanding the context of this coin, its composition, its release, and its place in Lincoln's 113th year on the century helps you see why some examples are quietly drawing attention in auction circles. Collectors are particularly focused on this 2026 issue because it marks a continuation of subtle design tweaks and a modern mending era where coins are produced in massive quantities. Yet, here's a detail collectors quietly watch: pennies with flawless surfaces, strong luster, and no post-production handling can stand out in ways that might surprise you, while a circulated coin will likely be worth face value. A high-quality, untouched example could attract interest from specialists looking for a life-changing sale results for select examples. Even the most ordinary coin, if it shows these hidden traits, can become part of a quiet wealth discovery for the right seller. The 2026 Lincoln penny comes in a few variations. The standard Philadelphia strike bears no mint mark. Others come from Denver, but today we're focusing on the no mint mark version. Composition remains a copper-plated zinc core, similar to past years, but even within this modern alloy, small differences in die alignment, strike pressure, and planchet quality can create varieties collectors track closely. This difference can completely change interest. A broken bar, one minor die rotation, or subtle planchet imperfection can turn a common coin into a quietly sought-after collectible. Now, let's talk about value. Circulated examples of the 2026 no mint mark penny are still, for the most part, worth face value. But mint condition coins, especially those graded and certified, can draw a premium. Realistic auction results for pristine examples can range widely, depending on the collector market and the coin's visual appeal. It's not guaranteed wealth, but for patient owners, this is where hidden financial potential often emerges. Occasionally, a single penny that's been well preserved over the months can result in unexpected income for its holder. Many owners make simple mistakes that reduce value without realizing it. Handling the coin with bare hands, improper cleaning, or storing it in a high humidity environment can all diminish collector interest. This is where many people get confused. It's not about the coin's age alone. Preservation, presentation, and documentation are just as important for realizing any potential. There are documented cases where patient sellers are people who simply held on to their 2026 pennies without knowing the subtle difference as it discovered hidden financial potential years later. While we're not suggesting that every coin will appreciate dramatically, these quiet wealth discoveries are exactly why collectors recommend checking your own pennies carefully. Some coins, overlooked for months or years, eventually become the centerpiece of surprisingly valuable sales. So, what should you do if you have a 2026 no mint mark penny? First, inspect it under good light for luster, blemishes, and any unusual features. Second, keep it stored safely. Acid-free flips, low humidity, and minimal handling. Here's a detail collectors quietly watch. Even a faint scratch or hairline mark can shift a coin from high interest to merely ordinary. Lastly, remember, patience matters more than speed. Knowledge, careful observation, and proper storage are what unlock potential value. Take a moment to check your own penny, as this simple habit has led countless collectors to unexpected discoveries. If you want to dive deeper, watch our next video about rare Lincoln cents from the last decade. Remember, it's not about rushing, it's about understanding, observing, and recognizing the subtle signs that separate common coins from the ones with real collector intrigue.